the 80-year-old queen who walked barefoot for freedom. Imagine being born into power. Imagine silk robes brushing against marble floors, servants bowing at your footsteps, guards protecting your every movement, music filling golden halls, while the outside world struggles in dust and hunger. She had all of it. She was a queen of the Sakyan clan, respected, powerful, and surrounded by unimaginable luxury. When her sister died shortly after giving birth, she stepped forward without hesitation and raised the infant prince as her own son. That child would grow up to become Gautama Buddha. She fed him, she protected him, she watched him grow. But destiny would take that boy far beyond palace walls. Years later, when he renounced royal life and became a wandering seeker, she watched him walk away from everything. And one day, she would follow. Her name was Mahapajapati Gotami. And when she was around 80 years old, she made a decision that would shake the spiritual world forever. After the death of her husband, the palace became quiet. The celebrations faded. The music stopped. The long corridors echoed with memory. She had wealth. She had status. She had influence. But she also had aging hands. She had grief. She had the undeniable truth that no silk robe could hide. Everything in this world fades. She had listened to the Buddha teach. She had heard him speak about suffering, impermanence, and liberation. She understood that even queens cannot command death to wait. Even royalty cannot order time to slow down. The palace no longer felt like security. It felt like a cage, beautiful, golden, and suffocating. She did not want comfort anymore. She wanted freedom, not political freedom, not social power. She wanted nirvana, complete awakening. So she traveled to where the Buddha was staying. Imagine the scene. An elderly queen, dignified yet humble, standing before the man she once carried in her arms as a child. She bowed, and she made her request. Allow me to leave the household life. Allow me to join the monastic order. Allow me to dedicate my remaining years to the path of liberation. The Buddha looked at her, and he said no. It must have felt like a blade through the heart. She had not asked for comfort. She had not asked for wealth. She had asked for freedom. Still, he refused. She asked again. Refused. A third time. Refused. Why? Because the world they lived in was dangerous. Forests were lawless. Wandering mendicants survived on alms and slept under trees. Women traveling without protection faced serious risk. Society itself was deeply patriarchal. Establishing a formal order of women renunciants could provoke backlash and threaten the fragile young community. It was not a simple decision, but she did not argue. She did not shout. She returned home in silence. And then she did something no one expected. Back at the palace, she stood before a mirror. For decades, royal attendants had styled her hair with perfumes and jewels. Now she lifted a blade, and she cut it off. Hair fell to the floor, symbol of status, symbol of beauty, symbol of identity. She removed her necklaces, her bracelets, her silk garments. She put on the rough robe of a renunciant. The queen disappeared. In her place stood a seeker, and she was not alone. 500 Sakyan noblewomen watched her transformation. They had lived the same life. They had tasted the same luxury. They too had seen aging, sickness, and death. One by one, they followed her example. Jewels dropped to marble floors. Silk was exchanged for coarse cloth. Royal women became wanderers. And then they began to walk. The journey from Kapilavastu to Vesali was not short. There were no carriages, no shaded escorts, no palace guards, just bare feet against earth. Imagine an 80-year-old woman walking mile after mile under the burning sun. The ground was uneven. Sharp stones cut into their soles. Dust clung to their skin. At night, they slept outdoors. Their feet blistered. Their bodies ached, but they kept walking, step after step. Every footfall was a declaration. I will not turn back. Weeks passed, and finally they arrived at the monastery. They did not look like queens anymore. They were covered in dust. Their robes were stained with sweat. Their feet were swollen and bleeding, but their resolve was unbroken. They stood outside the gates, and they waited. Exhaustion overcame her. Tears streamed down her face, not from weakness, but from the weight of the journey. She had given up everything. She had walked through pain. She had endured rejection, and still she was not certain if the door would open. She could have returned. The palace would have welcomed her. Comfort was still available, but she did not move. She would rather remain outside the gate than go back to a life without liberation. It was there that Venerable Ananda, the Buddha's attendant, saw her. He was shocked. He saw the dust, the wounds, the determination. He listened as she spoke of her wish, not for status, not for rebellion, but for spiritual freedom. Deeply moved, Ananda approached the Buddha, and he asked a question that would change history. Are women capable of attaining full awakening? The Buddha answered clearly, yes. That answer carried enormous weight. If women were capable of enlightenment, then denying them the path would contradict the very truth of the teaching. After further discussion, the Buddha permitted the establishment of the Bhikkhuni Sangha, the order of nuns. The gates opened. The 80-year-old former queen stepped inside, not as royalty, not as mother, not as ruler, but as a renunciant, as a seeker of truth, as the first ordained Buddhist nun. Ordination was not the end of her story. It was the beginning. Monastic life was not easy. It required discipline, meditation for long hours, mindfulness in every action, letting go not only of jewels, but of ego. She trained relentlessly. She examined the mind. She watched thoughts rise and pass away. She contemplated impermanence. And in time, she attained arahantship, complete liberation. The woman who once ruled a palace now ruled her own mind. The woman who once commanded servants now commanded awareness. She had achieved what she set out to find: freedom. Her story is not about defiance. It is not about pride. It is about sincerity. When she was told no, she did not react with anger. She responded with action. She did not demand change with words. She demonstrated readiness through sacrifice. She did not wait for society to evolve. She embodied the change herself. Her bleeding feet became her argument. Her perseverance became her voice. And because she walked, countless women after her were able to follow the monastic path. Her steps echoed through centuries. Maybe you are not a queen. Maybe you are not walking across ancient India, but you may be standing at a gate right now. A gate labeled not good enough, too late, too old, not allowed. You may have asked for something meaningful and been told no. Her story asks you a question. How badly do you want it? Are you willing to leave comfort? Are you willing to endure doubt? Are you willing to walk when your feet hurt? Freedom, whether spiritual, personal, or creative, rarely comes easily. Sometimes the first refusal is not rejection. It is preparation. The path opens for those who prove they are ready to walk it. Picture her, an elderly woman, dust-covered, feet wounded, standing at a monastery gate. She had once ruled a kingdom. Now she sought to conquer suffering, and she refused to turn back because she walked. The door opened, and history changed.